Good afternoon, Purple family. Welcome to another episode of Shades of Purple, a Prince podcast. On today's episode, we'll be spilling some piping hot tea on Prince's love life during the 1980s. So get your tea ready, because for the next 45 minutes, we're going to be all up in Prince's sheets. In this episode, I will be discussing some very adult content. So if that's not your thing, you might want to skip this episode. So let's get right into it. So Prince's ladies, as you will see, had a tendency to overlap. So while I might be focusing on one particular girlfriend, don't be surprised if I mention either ones I already discussed or ones I haven't discussed yet. So how I decided which women to talk about was I basically tried to go in chronological order from what we know about his early life on up until he started his musical career. Prince's first known girlfriend was a woman named Kim Upsher, who was Prince's high school sweetheart. They dated all the way up until the Dirty Mind album. In fact, according to Pierre Nelson in his book, Dance, Music, Sex, Romance, it was Kim Upsher's apartment that was used for the cover of the Dirty Mind album. You know, the picture with Prince on the bed and all the other band members surrounding him. And she supposedly got evicted for the spray paint that Prince put on the walls to write out all the songs on the album. There are only two other sources of information that I was able to find about Kim Upsher. She is mentioned in Brown Mark's book, My Life in the Purple Kingdom. So Brown Mark was working at a restaurant called the Town Crier, and Kim worked there also as a waitress, and this is what Brown Mark said in his book. About a year later, while working at the Town Crier, I was cooking in the kitchen, and this cat came strolling in and sat down. He was really different looking and had a really weird hairstyle with his heavy punk look. I guess he was going out with one of the waitresses, Kim Upsher. I remember she gave me his order and said, "Make sure you do a good job on this one." I said, "I do a good job on all the food I cook. What makes this one so special?" She said, "You don't know who that is?" "No, should I?" "That's Prince." So Brown Mark would go on to say that he would make sure that Prince's pancakes were on point, making them with vanilla extract added to the restaurant recipe. So Prince gave Brown Mark the impression that he was an important person, and that was backed up by his girlfriend, Kim Upsher. The only other information available online about Kim Upsher was from a Facebook page called Prince Anonymous. So I'm just going to read what was posted on this page about her. So the post was titled Kim Upsher, the Forgotten Girlfriend of Prince, from Facebook page Prince Anonymous. When Prince's former protege, Denise Vanity Matthews, passed away in 2016, it shocked the R&B world to no end. Not many were more heartbroken than Vanity's ex-boyfriend Prince, though. Little did most fans know, however, is that at the time of Vanity's passing, Prince was also deeply heartbroken over the death of his very first high school love, who died just months before Vanity. It was a combination of those two heartaches that some say led Prince into a deep state of sorrow and grief. Prince's ex-girlfriend was a woman named Kim Upsher. The two former lovebirds attended high school together in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She also had a small role in Purple Rain back in the day. Although many fans know of how hard Prince took Vanity's passing due to the fact that he spoke publicly about it, according to Jill Jones, his major heartbreak was due to Kim's death. In a prior interview with Huffington Post, Jill revealed the facts about his largely unknown ex Kim and how he was affected by her passing. Jill Jones on Kim Upsher. She was the kindest, patient, and supportive person for him. Watching the changes that came into your life, I had a lot of empathy for her because she helped me navigate through all of that bull at the beginning. She passed away before Denise, so he had a double whammy. So I know everybody is like, "Oh, Denise," but his girlfriend, who has been with him, lived in the same house as him, grew up with him, that was his big crush from school. Kim was an unsung hero, in my opinion. They stayed friends throughout. She knew his family, everything. It was sad. She passed away from a brain aneurysm, and that saddened my heart. Facts about Kim and Prince's relationship. She had a cameo role in Purple Rain as a waitress who Morris Day pretended to give a huge tip to in efforts to impress Apollonia. She was Prince's first heartbreak. Around the time of the album's release, Right On, magazine asked a rising young sex symbol if he had a girlfriend. Now this is when he was doing the Prince album. "I had one, but she left," he revealed. "I wrote some songs about it on the album." When the interviewer marveled at the number of women who had loved to take her place, He explained a little more. That's why she left. So the lyrics to Still Waiting, I'm so alone and brokenhearted. It ain't like my life has ended, but more like it never started, he laments on the silky smooth disco era piano ballad. I spent all my nights just a crying, and I spent all my days just a trying to find the love to call my own. Still Waiting from the Prince album. Kim and Prince attended Minneapolis Central High School together. They mimicked their real-life love story. Although Kim had broken up with Prince decades ago, they remained friends throughout their lives. Like I said, Kim passed away from a brain aneurysm on November 15, 2015. Exactly 3 months later, Vanity died from renal failure. And Prince died just months after both Vanity and his ex-girlfriend, Kim Upsher. So Prince really had feelings for Kim Upsher, however. He also had feelings, as it would seem, for the next lady on my list, which is Susan Moosie. Now, before Susannah Melvion, in my opinion, I would say that Prince's relationship with Susan Moosie was probably the most serious he had prior to Susannah. And the reason why I say that is because he wrote 2 songs about her. And for Prince, anytime he writes a song about a woman, he really likes them, if not loves them, in his own way. The 2 songs he wrote about Susan are Private Joy off of the Controversy album and When Doves Cry off of the Purple Rain album. These songs are pretty personal in how he's describing how he feels about her. And I think these 2 songs can be seen as the beginning of their relationship and the end of their romantic relationship, respectfully. I'm basing this on some of the lyrics in both songs. In Private Joy, Prince says, "My little secret, my private joy. I could never let another play with my toy. My little angel from heaven above. Oh, 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 oh. I think I'm falling in love." Y'all know I was going to do that. And then at the conclusion of the song, he goes on to sing his most famous line, "If anybody asks you, you belong to Prince." So to me, that's signaling that he really had fallen for Susan and in his own way was claiming her as his. This was something that Prince would often do in songs because he wasn't too keen on claiming any one woman publicly too much, because more often than not, he was seeing and sleeping with other women. So being the player that he was, he never let his right hand know what the left was doing, so to speak, when it came to his womenfolk. Even Jill Jones, another one of his girlfriends, would say that she never knew at any given time who he was with outside of the time she spent with him. So he attempted to keep his women in the dark about one another, but that became impossible after he started dating both Jill Jones and Vanity and Susan all around the same time. And they all seemed to know about it. But going back to the songs he wrote about Susan, so in When Doves Cry, Prince paints himself as a victim of her coldness, singing, "How could you just leave me standing, alone in a world so cold?" When the reality was, she was tired of all his cheating and was not interested in being with him anymore. So she became friends with his other girlfriend, actually, Vanity, since they were all in the same group, Vanity 6, remember? I could only imagine how awkward those conversations were between Susan and Vanity, especially for Susan. When Vanity and Prince's relationship got really toxic, I have no doubt that Vanity may have went to Susan to ask her for some advice, because being that she had dated Prince and had knew him longer, I'm sure that would have prompted Vanity to ask her about him. But that is mostly conjecture on my part, because like I said in the last episode, I really don't have a timeline for when they started dating. So there's most definitely some overlap with Susan and Kim Upsher. Susan was born in Trinidad and Tobago, and according to Wikipedia, she met Prince at a club in 1980 when she was 16. Now, it's believed that Susan lied about her age because when Vanity 6 was formed in 1981, she was claiming then that she was 16 when in fact she was 18. So she was claiming that she was 16 when she was really 18, but she was probably 17 when she met Prince, because she was 18 for sure by the time the group Vanity 6 was formed, before Denise Matthews joined. Prince had wanted Susan to be the lead singer for the group that he named the Hookers at the time, but she was too shy. Susan was very quiet and demure, but according to Jill Jones, when she wanted to, she could stand up for herself when it came to Prince. Jill recalled a time in the book Prince in the Purple Rain Area Studio Sessions by Dwayne Tudor when Susan and Prince were arguing in the studio. Jill said Susan rarely, if ever, raised her voice, even when she argued, but Prince knew when she was upset. So basically, Prince knew where to get on and get off when it came to Susan. And while she had this very quiet, innocent persona on the outside, when it was necessary, she wasn't afraid to tell Prince what was on her mind. So they roughly dated between 1980 through 1985, off and on. And again, I say off and on because Prince was also dating and having sex with Jill Jones, Vanity, and Susannah Melvion during this 5-year period. So there's that. Okay, y'all, I'm already exhausted and we're only 2 women in. We have 7 more to go. So at some point, Susan would leave the Prince camp and she would marry and have children. But her and Prince will remain friends until his death. So she, as of January of 2020, she owns a restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with her son. And she also worked as a real estate broker at one point. So that's Susan Moosie. Moving on. So now we're going to the infamous Jill Jones. Jill Jones met Prince when she was a backup singer for Tina Marie when Lady T opened for Prince during the Dirty Mind tour. Now, Jill is probably my favorite of this group of women for a number of reasons, but mostly because I just love her personality. She really keeps it real, and I loved her 3-hour interview she did with Michael Dean on the podcast on Prince on the Podcast Juice on YouTube. It was very insightful, and she really detailed all types of situations and the goings-on in the Prince camp during the time she was there. She's very observant and intelligent of not only her surroundings, but to Prince and the type of person, namely the type of man he was. So she learned early on who she was dealing with when it came to Prince. However, she stayed despite his whoring around because she loved him and she cared for him. And I generally believe that she wanted to see him happy even if it wasn't with her. She also became friendly with Vanity just like Susan did and spoke very highly of her, saying she knew how much Vanity loved Prince and how she knew that Vanity wanted Prince and wanted her career, and why couldn't she have both? So Jill was never under any illusions when it came to Prince, but supposedly he did not treat her the best at times. So buckle up, y'all. So according to this post on Lipstick Alley called Paisley Park Confessions, taken from people who allegedly worked at Paisley Park and the different rumors they heard about the women that Prince would be involved in. So one story was about his relationship with Jill Jones. Now, of course, all of these stories are anonymous, so feel free to take them with a grain of salt. But it is some hot tea nonetheless, so here goes. And I'm quoting directly, so forgive my French if you have a problem with bad words. Prince used to firstly refuse to claim her in public, talking about Jill Jones, which was usual for him back then. He also used to just grab her and fuck her in the men's toilet at First Avenue around Purple Rain. I heard, and he didn't care about who heard them. This shit right there really makes me ill as fuck because those bathrooms are disgusting. And if you ever been in there, you would know. So if this story has any merit, Prince just basically had sex with Jill whenever he felt like it. There was another story where they got caught making out in the back seat of one of his cars by her uncle, a man named Earl Jones, who was Prince's hairdresser for a number of years. For a time, she was living with Prince in his purple house. Now get this, y'all. At the exact same time that Vanity was living there. Ain't that something? So Vanity and Jill knew that Prince was having sex with both of them, and they seemed to just deal with it. That is so crazy to me. I'm assuming that Prince had to be pretty good in bed for them to be putting up with all this. And according to a woman named Robin Power, and also Kim Basinger, which is another woman I'm going to talk about later, he was very good in bed. So, women, let's be frank. Can we be frank? Good dick will make you do some really stupid things. Like knowing that your guy is sleeping with someone else, but you're just so dickmatized that you don't care, just as long as you getting it. You feel me? I'm not saying this was the case for Jill Jones and Vanity, but for them to both know that they were in fact sleeping with the same man under the same roof, what other conclusion can be drawn other than P was laying some good pipe? You hear me? So moving on, Jill Jones eventually moved to New York around 82, 83 into an apartment that Prince was paying for. And I have no doubt that Jill was still sleeping with Prince after she moved to New York because he would often come to New York to see her. In fact, in her interview on the Podcast Juice with Michael Dean, Jill mentioned that after the food fight fiasco with The Time, Prince came to see her in New York for a little while before returning back into the studio. In the movie Purple Rain, she would play a waitress. Jill Jones played the waitress that Apollonia runs into, and it causes her to spill her drink in the beginning of Purple Rain. She says, "What are you, stupid? Watch where you're going." That was my best Jill Jones impression. So Jill Jones looks white, but she's actually biracial. Her father was white, and her mother is black. So Prince wanted her to be the black version of Marilyn Monroe. So he talked her into dyeing her hair blonde. So that's why she has that bombshell look you see in the 1999 and Automatic videos in the Purple Rain movie. No doubt, just like all the other ladies in Prince's harem, she was very sexy, very pretty, and she could sing her butt off. She would start doing backup vocal work for Prince starting around the 1999 album. And of course, her most well-known work on that particular album was the song Lady Cab Driver, where she played the cab driver having sex with Prince. Her moans in the song are so memorable and very lifelike, even if they're a little over the top in my opinion, but I'm sure that's probably the direction that Prince gave her. She said she used a vibrator with Prince in the other room to do the vocal. So it was real. There are also a few unreleased songs that, according to Jill, may have her more authentic moaning on the track. So she was insinuating that her and Prince were having sex in the studio, and he may have decided to record it. At one point during the filming of Purple Rain, Jill became convinced that Prince was sleeping with Apollonia, to the point where she decided that she would start sleeping with other people too. So she admitted to Apollonia on her podcast that she slept with the director of Purple Rain, Albert Magnoli. So I don't know if Prince ever found out, because I didn't listen to the whole interview, but the whole reason why she did it was because, once again, she believed that Prince was messing with Apollonia. Now, I did not include Apollonia on the list of Prince's girlfriends, even though she's just about on every other list when Prince's girlfriends are mentioned, because she has consistently claimed that they were never together. But never together or never dated does not mean that they did not have sex. And I'm almost convinced that they did. But more on that later after I talk about the next lady on my list, Vanity. Denise Matthews, aka Vanity, as her stage name given to her by Prince, met backstage at the American Music Awards in 1980. According to Vanity, he asked her if she could try on her jacket, and she noticed when he took his off that he had nothing on underneath. In a televised interview, she said that's when she knew that Prince was her type of guy. She thought he was gay at first, but she quickly discovered he wasn't. She said in the same interview that she wished that he had been gay, because then she wouldn't have fallen for him so fast and so deeply. Theirs was a very passionate relationship from almost the start. Their sex life was explosive. According to Vanity, their lovemaking was wild, inhibited, and tender. On the gossip website Lipstick Alley, here we go, there's a story of how wild Vanity and Prince's sexual escapades were. On the 1999 tour, now I'm quoting this, y'all. On the 1999 tour, P once banged Vanity so hard that she had his hand-shaped bruises on her hips, bad bruising on her inner thighs, and handprints on her ass. She wore lingerie on stage performing, so they had to cover it up with makeup. Another time, his lighting guy, a guy named Leeward Bennett, overheard Vanity screaming for Pete to fuck her in the ass real late at night. And apparently, after this, he noticed that V was walking really funny the next day and asked her if she was okay. She replied she was feeling too good. P, I heard, didn't escape. He had to wear more color on his lips because Vanity had a habit of biting, bruising, swelling his lips, and scratching up his back and shoulders. Ugh. Vanity described the beginning of their relationship as beautiful. She loved how Prince pursued her, calling her often, and made her feel special. He was very charming. He quite literally charmed the pants off of her, she said. Prince and Vanity roughly dated from around 1980 to 1983, but toward the middle and end of their relationship, things started to get rocky, to say the least. Vanity was living with Prince in his purple house at one point before she moved to New York with Jill Jones. He was also staying there because, wait a minute, let me back. So Jill Jones was also staying there, but like I said, she moved to New York at some point. So it may have been around this time that Vanity realized that she wasn't the only woman in Prince's world. And I think that fact really hurt her because she really wanted to be his everything. But Prince made loving him hard. There were times he was very mean to her, like the time he put her out of a car and left her on the streets, y'all. Or the time he had his bodyguard, Big Chick, throw her into a pool after she told him that he was too small to throw her anywhere. I've already talked about Vanity 6 and how the group was started, but originally the girl group in the Purple Rain movie was supposed to be Vanity 6, but because Vanity left Prince right before filming was supposed to begin, they had to find someone else, and eventually they found Patricia Caterio, I think that's how you say her last name, but she would go by her middle name, which is Apollonia. Now, Vanity and Apollonia did meet once, and Apollonia would later claim in an interview that Vanity would often use her name when hooking up with men, and it led Apollonia's husband at the time to believe that she was cheating on him. Now, I'll say this about this because I know that Vanity was a drug addict, and after she left Prince. So, and people on drugs do and say a lot of things, and maybe it is possible that she did this, but she's not here to say whether or not that's true, so we'll never know. Apollonia can say a lot about both Prince and Vanity now since they're both gone, and I also suspect that Apollonia is in a better position to make herself look good when it came to Prince and Vanity since she's the only one of the three still alive. I also think that she and Prince did have a sexual relationship. And the only reason why she has chosen to deny it is because she wants to make herself look like she's special compared to all the other women that Prince dated or just had sex with. Now, part of this is my instinct. And another part is based on what was written in a book called Possessed, The Rise and Fall of Prince by Alex Hahn. Now, in this book, Hahn claims that during the filming of Purple Rain, it was well known to everyone on the set that Prince and Apollonia were dating because he did not allow anyone to talk to her unless it was absolutely necessary. He was very possessive of Apples. You know, that's the nickname people give her. And he is usually only like that when he's dating a woman. Prince would come to Apple's hotel room. In fact, the night of the Purple Rain premiere, they spent the night sleeping under a table in her room, waiting to hear back about the movie's reception. Now, come on, y'all. Under a table? That don't even sound like something Prince would do, but okay. So I really think Apollonia is lying, but that's her story to tell. That's the story she's sticking to, so whatever. Moving on. But getting back to Prince and Vanity, I think people have a rose-colored view of Prince and Vanity's relationship, especially Vanity fans in the Prince camp. But the reality was, while their relationship started off well enough, by the time Vanity finally left Prince right before Purple Rain, I think both of them were heartbroken and exhausted. As much as he loved Vanity, Prince could never be with just one woman for a long period of time. Try as he might, and he did try, but his wandering eye would always seem to get the best of him. And this was something he was aware of, I'm sure. And it wasn't until after Vanity left that I think Prince realized exactly what she meant to him, underneath all the arguments and confrontations they had. So when he wrote The Beautiful Ones, my personal all-time favorite Prince song, he definitely had Vanity in mind. Other people said that they thought the song was written about Susannah, but Prince would verify without outright saying that the song was about Vanity in a 2015 Ebony magazine interview. When the interviewer suggested the rumor that the song was about his ex, Susannah Melvion, Prince said, "If they look at it, it's very obvious. Do you want him or do you want me?" That was written for that scene in Purple Rain specifically, when Morris Day would be sitting with Apollonia, and there would be this back and forth. And also, The Beautiful Ones, you always seem to lose. Vanity had just quit the movie. To them to speculate, well, he wrote that song about me. Afterwards, you go, who are you? Why do you think that you're part of the script that way? And why would you go around saying stuff like that? So that's what Prince said about it. So Prince said without saying that The Beautiful Ones was about Vanity. Vanity passed away of kidney failure on February 15, 2016, just 2 months before Prince. Prince found out about her death just before he took the stage on his piano and microphone tour in Australia, and he said this about Vanity. Her and I used to love each other deeply. She loved me for the artist I was. I loved her for the artist she was trying to be. She and I would fight. She was very headstrong because she knew she was the finest woman in the world, and she never missed an opportunity to tell you that. That's real sweet. He then went on to dedicate some songs to her, such as Little Red Corvette and Dirty Mind. When he played the beautiful ones, he replaced On My Knees to Denise. He was clearly upset and very much mourned her passing. But little did we know, we would lose Prince just 2 months later. I think that this is the main reason why some people think that Prince and Vanity were soulmates, because they died so close to one another. And maybe they were. Vanity called Prince the love of her life. She said that Prince was really the only man she ever gave her heart to fully. And for Prince, I think in a way, he never fully got over her. So when she died, I knew it deeply affected him. Rest in peace to both of them. Now, let's move on to the next lady. Because when it comes to Vanity and Prince, I could literally do an episode just on them. So we got to cut it off somewhere. So cut it. The next lady is Susannah Melvion, which is the twin sister of Revolution guitarist Wendy Melvion. They met at a Warner Brothers Christmas party in 1983. Her sister Wendy had joined the Revolution earlier that year, but this would be the first time that she got to meet Prince. A few months later, Susannah said Prince would corner her coming out of the bathroom and kiss her, saying that he had been wanting to get with her for a while. She had a boyfriend at the time out in California, but she broke things off with him when she started dating Prince. Prince seemed to take the lessons he learned from dating Vanity and applied them this time with Susannah, but try as he might, he could never quite be 100% faithful. The fact that her twin sister Wendy worked for him would come to make things awkward later as their relationship ran its course. Susannah would become co-lead singer of the group The Family, which Prince created after the Time disbanded. By the time 1986 came around and Prince started working on the movie Under the Cherry Moon, he proposed to Susannah in France during filming, but soon after he made her go home. Why? Because Shelia E was flying in, and there were also rumors he was messing around with Kristen Scott Thomas, the leading lady in Under the Cherry Moon. So he definitely did not want his fiance there to witness him cheating. With Susannah, I think Prince really fell for her, but he just could not stop seeing other women. At the same time, he was with Shelia E and probably still going to New York to be with Jill Jones. And he also met another woman, the next lady on the list, a Playboy playmate named Devin Devasquez. They met at one of Prince's concerts. He noticed her in the crowd and sent one of his bodyguards to bring her backstage. From there, they had an off-again, on-again romance, according to Devin, for about 6 months or so. He wanted to invite her to come to Paris while he was filming Under the Cherry Moon, but she declined. She said they broke up because Prince was kind of living with someone, as he had phrased it to her. And that's someone being Susannah. So 1985, 1986 was a very busy time for Prince, as we'll see, because he had Susannah, he had Devin, he had Sheila, and then he was still, sleeping with Jill Jones. So now he was dating all of these women. Now, up next, we're going to talk about Shelia E. So, according to her autobiography, The Beat of My Own Drum, Sheila first met Prince at an Al Jura concert in 1978. So, right before the time his first album For You came out, she said she was instantly attracted to him because she loved his green eyes. I thought he had brown eyes, but okay. She bought his first album and the poster that came with it. At the Al Jura concert, they just saw each other, so they didn't really speak. But they started speaking to each other at a Santana concert because Sheila's dad played for Santana's band, so she was always able to go to the back and hang out in the backstage. So anyway, they met officially, and after that, they kept in touch. Prince would sometimes come over to her parents' house in Oakland, and they would jam together. Eventually, he hired her as the opening act for the Purple Rain tour because Shelia E was a drummer and a percussionist, but also she had her own band. Now, it was around this time that, according to Shelia E, that her and Prince started dating. Now, like I said, mind you, if we're keeping up, which I understand it might be hard to do at this point. Now, just going back to 1984, he was dating Susannah Melvion, Jill Jones, and possibly still Susan Moosie. So Susan Moosie might be still in the picture as of 1984. So Shelia would be just another bedmate of Prince's around, and she sticked around till about 87, 88, until after the Love Sexy tour ended. And she stepped away from being his full-time drummer, because she was his drummer for the Sign of the Times tour and the Love Sexy tour. She clashed with Cat Glover during the Sign of the Times and Love Sexy tours about Prince, telling Cat to back off her man, only to have Prince claim in front of Shelia that he was never her man. Now, this is according to Kat, and Kat, just like Apollonia, was another woman to state that she and Prince never dated. And just like Apollonia, she may believe that having sex with Prince and dating him are two different things. But more on Kat later, because she's going to come up again when we get to our last lady, Kim Basinger. So moving on, Shelia would claim in her autobiography, The Beat of My Own Drum, once again, that Prince proposed to her during a concert while playing the song Purple Rain. Unlike Susannah, however, she did not get a ring from Prince, and that put her story, as well as a few others related to Prince in her book, in doubt. Her book, published in 2014, caused a rift between her and Prince, and they were not able to mend fences before his death. However complicated her romance was with Prince, her professional dealings with him were very positive. She would release 3 albums, the most of any Prince protege: The Glamorous Life, Romance 1600, and Shelia E. So, moving on, we're finally to the last 2 ladies. Anna Garcia, also known as Anna Fantastic, the name Prince gave her, and Kim Basinger. So, Anna Garcia would meet Prince at one of his concerts in her native of UK in London. And someone was nice enough to say in the comments that she was born in the UK, but she was actually raised in Holland. So that was nice to know. She was an aspiring singer-songwriter and model and was given a VIP pass to an after party. At the after party, she caught Prince's eye. Now, she was only 16 at the time, and she admitted that she lied to Prince and told him she was 18. They went back to his hotel where she says nothing happened. And I'm taking this from an article that she gave to someone. I can't remember where, but it's on the internet. I should have put it on the Facebook page, but anyway. Okay, so I'm quoting, "He was the perfect gentleman and nothing happened. In fact, he insisted I put on a pair of his pajamas. They were gold and cream satin, and I remember laughing as they were so shiny that I slid around in the bed. When we met, I lied and told him that I was actually 18, so he had no idea how young I was. The next morning, we had breakfast in the room. He gave me a yellow rose, and I gave him my number. I really liked him, but I saw him as a person, not as Prince. We talked and we laughed, and it was so much fun." In the autumn of 1988, Anna, when she was 17 and was given her second name Fantastic by Prince, began flying to the U.S. to meet him, going to his Paisley Park home for the first time. She said, "We kissed a lot, and it was very innocent. I was completely in love with him. He called his hairstylist to come over, and we get our hair done together in the salon in the basement of the house. They slept together for 4 months before Prince would even consent to take off his pajamas and bed socks. He said that she should never see him naked. On her 18th birthday in December of 1988, Prince rang Anna up at her mom's house and told her to go to Heathrow, the airport. So she spent her birthday with him. When she landed in Minneapolis, his security team whisked her away to Paisley Park. She said, "I walked in and the lights were down low. There was a birthday cake in the kitchen with 18 lit candles that said, 'Happy birthday, Lovelorn.' Something he had called me once when I told him that I missed him." Prince wowed her by giving her a gold and diamond encrusted necklace. He followed that up by giving her a closet of clothes made by his own wardrobe specialist. Anna said, "It all fit perfectly. I was blown away." Prince also gave her a recording of a birthday song titled Anna Waiting, which he went on to record as Vicky Waiting on the Batman soundtrack. The pair spent the night together and had sex for the first time. Anna said, "It was a very sweet night. He was very romantic and would always say the most perfect thing. When the moment finally came, on the night of my 18th birthday, it was perfect, well worth the wait," she said. But even then, he couldn't resist keeping her waiting a while. He casually announced, "I'm just popping in around the studio for a while." I sat in bed waiting for him and chewing my nails until he returned half an hour later. When he finally got into bed, without his pajamas on this time, and began kissing me, I knew everything was going to be fine, she adds. His kisses were different than before, and slowly he stroked me, calmed me, and aroused me, and we made love. He promised me that my first time would be special, and it was magical. It was magical. Sensual, slow, and super romantic. We made love all night and almost all the next day. Oh, okay. I could have stayed in his arms forever. Nothing will ever compare to that wonderful night. It was sensational. Okay. So Anna, like I said, she inspired a couple of songs. Another song that she inspired was the song Pink Cashmere, because that was another one of her birthday gifts that he gave her that night. And of course, like I said, the song Bicky Waiting, which had originally been Anna Waiting. And then there was another song on the Batman album called Lemon Crush. That was her favorite drink, and that was also on the Batman soundtrack. She also wrote a song called Fantasia Erotica, which resurfaced on Carmen Electra's debut album in 1992. And the liner notes from the Batman soundtrack released in 1989 credits Garcia as Anna Fantastic. And Anna is featured on the Prince Madhouse No. 3 album on the 18-minute song The Dopamine Rush Shoot. And that is credited to Anna Garcia. So that's Anna Garcia. Now, our last lady, Kim Basinger. Now, I'm pretty sure that there is some more overlap between Anna Fantastic and Kim Basinger. And with Anna Fantastic being in the UK or in Holland for a while, I'm sure that he was able to date Kim Basinger without worrying too much about Anna. So Kim and Prince would meet on the set of the Batman movie, the 1989 Batman movie directed by Tim Burton. Prince came to the set when he started working on the Batman soundtrack. And sometime between while the movie was still filming and after the movie wrapped, Kim started popping up at Paisley Park. She eventually moved in, and at some point, they even recorded an album called The Scandalous Sex Suit together. After one of their recording sessions, there was honey found on all the sound mixing boards. On the song Scandalous, y'all remember that song? Scandalous, talking about you and me. Marvelous. Okay, so you can hear Kim moaning on the track. But, you know, at first to me it sounded like she was either laughing or crying. So I don't know what kind of moan is she doing, but okay, whatever. So supposedly they had sex in one of the studios at Paisley Park. And so, excuse me. And then Prince put her moans on the song. So that's truly scandalous. They also did another album called Hollywood Affair that remains unreleased, but you can easily find it on YouTube because it's been bootlegged to death at this point, called Hollywood Affair. So check it out. So Kim would later claim that Prince was one of the best lovers she ever had. And like my friend Sheila said on Facebook, he had a lot of practice. A lot of practice. So now how their relationship supposedly ended, there's two stories. Okay, so one story is that she became so obsessed with Prince, her family became worried about her, and they finally talked her into leaving him. The second story is that she found Prince in bed with another woman. The woman, Cat Glover, Prince's dancer. So which story do you believe? Which one sounds more plausible? Which sounds more like Prince? I'll let you decide. So with that last little bit of tea, I'm going to end the episode. And up next, we're going to be talking about in episode 9, reviewing the 1999 album and how and why that album will prove to be a game changer for Prince. Until then, peace and be wild, and may you live to see the dawn. Bye.